They do that quite often to us.
I know, but the whole Facebook is like,
Oh, we're live.
we're
Look
live.
at that. I love when it surprises us.
I know. All of a sudden, we're like talking about something.
That better.
Something crazy.
Happy Sunday, everyone who's chiming in. Go Patriots.
And go Celtics in a half an hour.
I think they started at 6:30.
7:30, the Celtics start.
Oh, awesome. Good. I won't miss that much.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome, Miles.
Welcome, Miles.
Hi, Jess. Hey, Michael.
All the way from the West Coast.
West Coast. Cali boy.
Cali love. We love Cali.
By way of Oklahoma.
We love Cali.
I'll read the mission statement and then we'll get right into it.
Perfect.
So, Greater Waltham Recovery Solution mission is to raise funds and awareness to help connect people into treatment, access to recovery coaches in the community, accessibility and support for veterans to get into treatment, open up their treatment options, and scholarship people into sober living.
Absolutely. Woohoo. And we're still here. Please give us a call. Contact myself, Jessica, Julie Bunch, Deb Moore, Linda Powell, Kimberly, Mandy McGowan, Richie Evans. Contact any one of us for quicker access to treatment. Treatment's super difficult to get into right now. All the beds are full. Every place in Mass has a wait list pretty much. Sometimes we're able to pull some strings where, if you don't contact one of us to call someone directly, you couldn't really you wouldn't be able to, come up with a bed. So just give us a call and we'll try our best. We'll do our due diligence to connect you into treatment, place you. Also, boxing has been going well. We're still up and at it. It's cooling off a bit, so it's a little bit more comfortable to be out there. Jessica was there last week, so we're still raising funds, having a good time. Boxing for recovery, boxing for fitness every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. $10 a person. Half of that money goes towards the Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions scholarship fund. I haven't messed that up in a while.
So Deb, so this is how it's gonna. So I'm gonna kind of answer it when someone comments on Facebook. I'm just gonna tell you. Debbie said hello all, and Richie said love you Miles with heart. And Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions, it might be Linda or it might be Kim, said, hi guys, nice seeing you, Miles. And then Richie just did the wolf symbol.
Nice. Hi guys, thank you. I'm feeling the love already.
You should be. We love you from across the states. So
all right. So Miles, tell us a little bit about how addiction, the disease of addiction, mental health, or whatever you want to talk about. How's it impacted your life, either indirectly or directly? Tell us, about a little bit about your addiction story.
Right. So, I think I can touch on a little bit of all those topics. I've been around here for a little bit. I got sober on November 19th, 2002.
Nice.
So it's been a minute. I will be 18 legally here in about a couple months here.
Legal age to buy cigarettes. Nice.
I know, right?
21 nowadays to buy cigarettes.
Clearly I got sober when I was like 9 years old, right?
I was gonna.
It's one of those things where I never knew anything about alcoholism or drug addiction growing up. It just wasn't present in my everyday life, my family life. My family drank very little. I remember my dad drinking maybe a beer or two in the summertime, and it was always like Schlitz or some really crappy beer, but the idea of that kind of lifestyle just never was impressed. And even I guess stuff growing up on TV, it never made that much of an impact. I'm also adopted. So, when I got sober, a lot of the research has been told that it is hereditary. Of course, I'm like, I guess, I don't know. But I've been saying this lately, which is kind of funny that, when I move on from this world and the big man upstairs says, hey, Miles, by the way, you were never an alcoholic, I'm actually okay with that because of the people like Richie, like, you know, the two of you that I'm meeting today that I would never have an opportunity to meet. I mean, you guys are on the other side of the United States, you know?
Right.
But I
right.
get to meet amazing, cool people that, you know, either we have different backgrounds, different ages, different lifestyles, whatever, but we have a common language, you know, we have some mutual experiences and definitely the feelings we can relate with. That's something I would never want to exchange for anything, you know? So when they talk about promises, yeah, when I first got sober, it's like, where's the car? Where's my husband? Where's, you know, my, you know, 6-pack abs, you know, like
Right,
all
right,
the
right.
material things I wanted. But honestly, it's having these kind of conversations and not some drunken I love you to some stranger that I won't remember the next day. But like this tonight, I will remember, you know? So it's those things that, going back to, you know, how I was introduced to this, it just happened, you know, and I'm very grateful for my journey of how I got to be almost 18 years sober, and how by discovering my own sobriety, I've discovered more about who Miles really is, you know,
Right.
because so many people do connect with like their religious beliefs, their upbringing, you know, if they were Italian or African American, like you know, those kind of things, like, oh, Miles, he's that. I mean, look at me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, depending on my weight, you know, like, and like hairstyles, like I could be, you know, more Latino looking. I could look more from like, you know, Pacific Island. You know, sometimes I wake up thinking I'm the Rock, you know, but I did find out, I did take like one of those DNA tests, and I am mostly Polynesian. So me and the Rock, we could be brothers.
You
know?
guys there could be a connection there.
Right. So I'll hang on to that. But I'm kind of going for my Jason Momoa look right now. So
I love Jason Momoa. I
Oh,
love so Mike's mom said, "Happy Sunday, everyone." Hi, Teresa.
she shouldn't be tuning in because she's driving home right now from our house. So I'm gonna.
She's
Nah, she probably has it on the on the dashboard thing. She's being safe.
But she's commenting. So Teresa, please be careful while driving.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she's home by now. It's been a little bit since she left.
And then Chris Chevalier said, "Hi guys." Hi, Chris. And Tara Shannon said to someone else, she said, "Love you, Megan M. O'Leary," which I think is someone else that was watching. But please feel free to comment. We will read everything on here. If you have any questions for Miles, if you have any questions for us, just, you know, comment. We want this to be an interactive conversation.
Yeah.
So Miles, you know, like you just talked about, you know, the alcoholism connecting people. So like a little bit about myself, like it's cool to have you on because I was adopted, and you know, I don't meet too many people that have, you know, come from, you know, an adoptive family. Tell us about, which is cool. So tell us about, you know, any struggles you had growing up as, you know, an adopted child.
Well, I grew up in the Midwest, so Oklahoma specifically, you know, and I grew up in a military town. So it was, you know, either you were part of the military or you weren't. So there's always kind of like, from the earliest time, there's always some kind of like grouping of people, separation, like you're a military or you were not, or, you know, you were black or you were white. And there was not a lot of brown people except for the Indians, the Native Americans that lived in Oklahoma. But like, again, like I look in the mirror, I'm like, my eyes don't look Native American, you know, like I get the skin tone. You know, there was just all these different like groupings of people that, you know, I mean, I think most of us always feel terminally unique, you know, but I was really like, I don't know my people, you know, but I never felt really different until like puberty hit him. But up until then, I mean, if anything, I was treated, you know, special. Like, you know, my grandparents, oh, he's the special grandchild, you know, and just being treated, you know, just kind of unique and almost like praised in a way. So I never felt like, you know, I was an outcast. But, you know, growing up and being in the Midwest, you know, conservative town, and then puberty kicks in, you know, and so now all these things are happening, you know, that I'm not understanding. And, you know, there's no reference at all. You know, there was no Will and Grace back then. I mean, if you didn't know, I'm gay. There was no Will and Grace. There was no, hold on. Let me grab mine. I have props. Hold on. Okay.
Oh, I love a good prop.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
amazing.
then Michael, these are for you later, okay?
All right.
Oh,
This is all Richie's fault right here. It's his influence. No, but growing up, there was no these role models or TV characters that I could relate with. Let alone not even discovering like my sexuality, but the adoption wasn't really talked about back then.
Right.
Being it's either like you have white America or black America. There was no like a lot of in between back then. At least from my exposure, so there was still a lot of like, I had a lot of questions, so I don't know about you, but when a new opportunity comes around and, I'm kind of lost, I'm kind of wanting to fit in, I remember going to my first like junior high party, and it was like, all the popular kids were there, and, the older brothers, the older brother was there, and he had brought, this alcohol, which at the time, I found out was tequila. And I love me some tequila. And I thought it was like the best tequila ever, but it was like Jose Cuervo. Like it wasn't, I soon later discovered there's better tequila out there. But, we were mixing it with crystal clear Pepsi, which I don't know. That might be a flashback
Wow.
for you guys. Okay.
Yeah, back in the day. Yep.
There was a whole crystal clear phase for a while, but
it lasted about a year or two.
it was crap. Yeah. There's a reason why it's not around anymore.
Yeah, I remember it. I was probably in middle school when it made its when it popped up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember it.
At the same time. I mean, like Zima was a big thing. So it's all these clear, beverages back then. But I was like, get this crystal clear crap out of here. I wanted the tequila. And I looked around and all my friends were like, oh my God, it burns. And, and I mean, to me, it was just like taking a glass of water. I was like, wow, this is cool,
I have a couple of comments actually.
Go for it.
Tara Shannon said, Mikey Legs, you're the best.
Woo, Tara. Hey, hold on, Tara. Congratulations on 2 years of sobriety. You're a miracle. You're amazing. We love you. You are a beacon of hope for all the people that are out there, and you help so many people tirelessly. We love you.
Tara, I don't know you, but congratulations, and that's amazing. Let's see. And then Paul Bowman, who we had on last week, said, hey, guys, you all look so good. Well, thank you.
Woo, woo. Thank you, Paul.
Richie asked what state you're adopted in, and what was it like coming out gay in Oklahoma?
Got it. So
Richie's hitting with the hard-hitting questions.
I was adopted in Oklahoma, so I grew up there as well. And I actually did not really come out until I got sober. Like, through the years of like around junior high, high school, college, only my closest friends knew, and sometime I remember going off to college, and my best friend at the time, I told him like the night before I went off to college, because I just thought, even though he was my best friend, we shared everything up to this point. I was like, this is the one thing, like it's either gonna make or break the friendship, And he turned to me after I told him, and he's like, I've known this, now where are we going to dinner? Like
we knew,
it's not a big deal, I was like, what do you mean you've always known? But and then I went up to a private Baptist school in Texas, and same thing too. I was still very closeted. I mean, I drove up to that college in my metallic T-top purple Firebird and was a theater major, but I was not out,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but my coming out story was this. So when I got sober, and I got sober around 22, 23, out here in California, I realized that, if I died, who would know me better, my friends or my family? And not to say that my sexuality is everything about me, but it can be a big deal, who I end up marrying, the people that I surround myself, the community that I involve in, the people that, look up to me, and vice versa. So, when I got sober, I went home for Christmas, and I told my parents, I told my sister the year before, and she had the same response to my best friend, thanks, I've known, let's go to dinner. Right. But my parents, I literally told them, like, at the airport, it was just the two of them, and the plane was about to start loading. My mom gets up, we got to go. I said, okay, sit down one more time. I got something else to tell you, because I just told them that I had just relapsed after the 3 months of rehab that I went through, because they thought I had about 4 months sobriety, and in fact, I only had about a month or maybe a couple weeks at that time. So that was the blow the night before. So I was already like, like, let's just get it all out. And then so I told them, I said, I'm gay. And it kind of stumbled out of my mouth. And then my dad was like, what? I was like, oh God. Like, I had to repeat it. So I had to repeat it. But my mom was very loving and supporting, which I knew. And what shocked me was my father's response. And he was like, Miles, you've always enjoyed climbing the highest mountains. Like, what? So I take that as, it's going to be a challenge, being in your shoes, but you've been able to climb and, reach your goal and walk through fear and
Right.
all this stuff through life, and you're going to be okay. And so, I got on, and he finished by saying, no matter what, I will always love you. You're my son, and I got onto that plane coming back out to California with like 3 weeks sober, just full of different emotions. I wanted to cry, I wanted to jump up and down, all these things. But, next to getting sober, it was the biggest, greatest decision I shared, was being absolutely truthful with those around me, those that love me and support me.
That's
So, yeah. But
so I have a couple more comments. So Megan M. O'Leary said, so happy I'm watching and listening. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Love you, Tara. So Tara, if you got Megan, so thank you for, supporting us, and that's amazing. Richie keeps saying how much he loves you. Tara, I don't know, is it Tara or Tara? Tara.
Tara.
She said, oh my God, I love your spirit, Miles. Olga Anna Castillo said, hi, everyone. Hi, Olga.
hi.
Tara said, and today is my 2.5 years, not 2 years. And Miles, I wish you lived in Boston. You're a trailblazer. God bless you. Oh, Tara, that's amazing.
Look, a lot of love. Look at that.
That means a lot. Yeah.
That's amazing. So Tara and I must have been gotten sober at the same time, because my 2.5 years was the other day too. So congratulations. That's amazing. I think it's 30 months, 2.5, 30, right? 30 months. Amazing.
30 months would be 2.5. Yeah.
And Richie said, tell him I'm honored to be his soul friend. And if you would like to talk about your sponsor and what happened, I can read it out loud. Your sponsor.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We still got
We'll get to it. Yeah, we have some time.
He commented on here, so I didn't want to read it out loud.
Yeah.
And Debbie said, God bless you, Miles. My father was the same way when my sister came out. He loved her no matter what.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's one of those things where, that was another gift of my program, and even early on, that I got to, be truthful and honest with the love and my family that were around me, and, so that has been a great thing to walk through, and also share with other people that, you get to find your truth, in these rooms. But let's see, where should we go from here?
Wherever you want to. Up, down, sideways,
right?
So how many what was your last attempt at sobriety like? Like, what did it look like to you? Like, what did you do? I mean, the part that really stands out is like how, how it's synonymous that you came out while you initially got sober, because you wouldn't have been able to sustain sobriety with that lie, with that dishonesty.
Good point,
so tell us about, like, when it all came to a head and you're like, listen, I'm going to come out, I'm going to get sober, I'm going to surrender, I'm going to take suggestions and do this.
Well, I have to, my hat goes off to the men and women that I met in Long Beach, California. That's where I got sober. I originally went out to Betty Ford, did 28 days, and they're like, honey, you need more help. So all these guys that I had met were going to a place called the NFL. And I was like, hey, I like sports. But actually, it's called Newfound Life in Long Beach. And, those men and women that I met down there, really embraced me. And the program, really made me go out and get the phone. Back then, we didn't have this little guy. That's how long ago it's been. I had to go with a pen and paper, get numbers, and make these phone calls. Hey, I need a ride to the meeting tonight. And this is all during the rehab period. So I was given all these tools, in early sobriety about how to stay involved. And walking into a new room of a mix of people, can be very intimidating, especially in early recovery. And to have someone come over that you think, oh, we have nothing in common. And they walk over with open arms and say, hi, my name is whatever. And, gives me a big hug or shakes my hand and looks me in the eyes and like really, truly accepts me and wants me to be there. That means the world. I mean, I still remember, those first few people that really did that to me, that because I'm already feeling like I don't belong,
Right.
So have someone take that extra step and not, come over to hit on me or to have an alternative motive, to really just want me to be there just because they want me to stay sober meant so much. But going back to your question, what really changed it for me is after doing, basically the 3 months of rehab, I came back up to LA and I was living my life like I normally did. And, I remember calling a friend of mine that I had met in Long Beach. His name is Uriel. And one night I was in my head, so I called him up and I could hear this music playing in the background. I'm like, where are you at right now? And he's like, oh, I'm at a club. And I was like, okay, well, I'll let you go. He's like, no, what are you calling about? And so I told him, and then we ended up praying. And I'm like, no one's ever taken the time to pray while he's out dancing,
Right,
so that was a big impact of someone like really just wanting to be there for me. But even that wasn't enough for me to go out one last time. The last time I went out, and then the next morning, the owner of the rehab in Long Beach called me and left a message on my voicemail, on my tape machine, and said that Brandon had OD'd and died the night before. Oof. Now, Brandon was a kid that I went through rehab with, and in my mind, he was younger, he was like fitter and healthier, and it made no sense to me that I'm alive today and he's not.
And what, right.
So for me, that was the realization for me that this is a life and death disease for me, because it could have been me that didn't wake up that morning,
Right.
So, I took the advice of the men that I went to a meeting with up here in LA, and they were like, it was a gay men's meeting, and they were like, honey, thank you for sharing that you just went out and you experienced this, this feelings with your friend Brandon. But you need to go back down to Long Beach, so where you got sober, and stay connected with those guys. And, I made a decision to go back down there. And I was down there for about another 3.5 years, learning everything I could about sobriety and then getting involved. There was a lot of young people at the time getting sober down there. And we all walks of life, but we all just meshed together, and when one person fell down, we would be there to help them back up, and we would go skiing and whitewater rafting and camping and just do all these events together and just have fun in sobriety. Because I don't know about you all, but I got fun. I got sober to live life,
Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
So Claudette Brown said congratulations, and Kate Von Rain, my coworkers, waved her hand. So hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
Thank you for watching. I know there's 2 different ways to comment now, so I'm trying to keep track of both of them.
Why? How else can they comment?
I don't know. It just popped up as another comment, so I had to go just to see it. Sorry about that.
How many people do we have online right now?
What?
How many people are online? Do you know?
It says 18.
Okay.
So that means 18, I think, are currently watching this
good number
live. Now,
18 years sober, 18 viewers. We got to pump them up.
I think Richie is one of our currently viewers, because he just commented and said, I love his home group. He asked me to speak there. It was popping.
It was popping.
So we'll flash forward to present day with what he was asking about my home group. I go to I go to a predominantly what we call highly LGBTQ attended, but all are welcome.
Yeah.
But it's mostly that community of sobers that come to this meeting, and it's at my friend's house, and it takes place in his backyard. And we have a big fire pit. We have like the heat lamps with the fire that shoots up around. We have all these candles throughout the sitting area. It's a lot of soft lighting, which we love.
That already sounds amazing,
right?
So
and we have a little food fellowship before. We go to a restaurant after the meeting as well. It's a very social type meeting, but it's also some really good, tight family oriented group that we've had now. I believe the meeting has been going on for almost 20 years because it started about a few years before I got sober. But
Wow.
And the reason that meeting got started is that a friend of ours actually got gay bashed one night, and the owner of the house had him come over while he was recovering, and that guy that was recovering was one of us, and he said, "Hey, do you mind calling up a couple of people and having a meeting here Tuesday night?" And my friend did that, and it was a success. The following week, that same guy was still there recovering, and he's like, "Hey, that was fun that we did that the week before. Can we call up, some people again and have them come over?" And, almost 20 years later, it has now moved from his living room to his backyard. And I mean, we have close to probably, I don't know, 60-ish people, if not more. It's every seat is filled,
Wow.
That's
and
amazing.
And now we're online, but still, it's one of those things where it is a family. It's a big, large group of people, a lot of personalities. But again, we go out and we have a yearly ski trip, a yearly camping trip. We go out to the beach together. We've lost a lot of people together. But it's one of those things where if you don't have a home group, I highly suggest getting one. And if you don't know what one is, it's something that you go to on a regular basis. So if you go MIA, people can call you up and say, "Where were you last
Where
week?
you been? Where you been?"
That's a perfect explanation of a home.
Yeah.
Or just so that people can hold you accountable.
Right.
Why are you missing meetings? Because as soon as you stop going for a little bit, you need someone to be like, "Hey, where were you? I haven't seen you in 3 days, or I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. Is everything okay?"
Because even if you don't think so, we care. We want to know what's going on. Can we help you? Because by helping you, you're helping me.
And it allows the newcomer to see, hey, there's a lot of hope because Miles is here every week, and he's been here every week for X amount of years. Jessica's been here every week, and they see those familiar faces in those same spots every week. So they say, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Julie just said, if you're online, can you share the link, or do you have to be gay to go?
No, like I said, all are welcome, and I can send you guys the Zoom link later, and we can maybe hopefully post that. But it is here on the West Coast. It starts at 7:30 our time. So what is that? 10:30 your time?
What time is it here now?
10:30. Yeah.
It's 4:26 here.
Oh,
we're 3 years.
3 hours.
3 hours and 3 years behind.
3 hours behind you guys. So, but yeah, Richie, like when I had him speak, he was so grateful. I said, drink some coffee, but it's going to be a long night. But, it's nice to have, this outlet, and I want to touch on that really fast too, that during this pandemic, I have traveled literally around the world, and I've never left physically the United States before, but I'm internationally known now. I spoke at a meeting in Dubai. I spoke at a meeting in Barcelona. I go to a regular men's meeting in Berlin. I've gone to a meeting in Paris. There's so many meetings around the world that if you just type in the location, and if their language is not predominantly English, just say, AA meetings in Paris, English,
Yeah.
and you will find a whole list of them like you would here in America. Most of the meetings are still online right now, and they have Zoom meetings or Google meeting information. But it's been so cool to see and meet these people on a weekly basis too, because I go to a lot of them regularly, and to get to know people around the world that I would never have an opportunity to meet. And the craziest thing is we all speak the same language of sobriety. So
right, and that goes back to what you said in the beginning. We all might have different races and nationalities and ethnicities and different backgrounds and even different drugs of choice. Someone might be an alcoholic, some may be a heroin addict like I was, but we all have that shared pain. I wasn't adopted, but I share the same pain with you guys as why I've become an alcoholic or an addict. Those fears, the fear of not being good enough, of rejection, of the unknown, and just at least we share that common language, like you were just saying.
Right. And too, it's like from a Southern boy, small town, closeted, adopted, not really knowing my nationality or anything. this event especially has made me feel more not alone, because the fact is that we may look different, but we speak this common language of sobriety, and it's talked about all around this whole world. You know,
Isn't that amazing?
We're everywhere.
Yeah,
We're everywhere.
and we're not hiding
Not
it.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna. Big question I had was, nowadays, a lot of treatment centers, they have LGBTQ tracks. Like, so, if a person is, from the LGBTQ community, they can go to a certain track to feel more comfortability while in treatment. Did you face any difficulties being a member of that community early on when going into treatment or sober living or community style? Yeah.
Well, I mean, funny enough is that I've always felt like I can morph into any kind of group, and because of not knowing so much about my, background and stuff, I'm just Miles, so I can like morph into whatever. And part of my story is that my first addiction was like watching television. Like, I love me some Melrose Place. And Richie will kill me if I don't do this, but I even had my own opening credits.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Just a little head turn. And but I would go and escape in these like fantasy worlds, and because I don't have to like live Miles's life, But so taking that forward into early sobriety, if I was in an environment where like the rehab in Long Beach, I was the only gay guy that I knew of, that was there. But I was able to fit in. I was able to like talk the conversations, and I don't know. I just made it work. It was like a chameleon type gift that I guess I have, because I never wanted to be the butt of jokes. I never wanted to be the outsider so much. So I learned to cope with like my surroundings. Like, even like when we started the Zoom today, it's like, I don't watch basketball, but we can morph it into football, that I know about, so.
Richie said that was a fire credit though.
Who?
Richie said
fire credit.
The opening credit.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's more online. Follow me.
Josh was to ask about James David.
Who did?
Richie.
Okay. So, real fast, finish Michael's thing. So there was no, like, I didn't go to like a gay rehab. And remember, I was still technically in the closet at the time, before I got, fully sober and out of rehab. So, I mean, I just made it work. So when I did get sober and have some time, I actually didn't go to gay meetings until year 9, because a friend of mine who I was his Eskimo, wanted to go to more gay meetings. And at that point, I had to face a lot of my inner homophobia, which at that time I was ready to tackle, And then I saw that, by going to a lot of the meetings that I was going to, there was old timers and there was newcomers, but there weren't a lot of people that got sober young and still had time in the gay sober rooms. So I thought, well, clearly I need to stay here and be an example, because at that time I've learned enough to know that, if you can be of service, you be of service.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't really have the track of like, this is what you should do, or I felt more comfortable. But actually, I think it benefited me, because as opposed to going to a meeting where, like, say, Michael, when you got sober, I'm sure a lot of females caught your attention. I had a lot of guys catch my attention, like Richie and Michael. If we got sober, you would have caught my attention.
Oh, boy.
But
I like that. That's the ultimate compliment.
Right. But it would never go beyond like, well, maybe it went beyond a couple times, but like for the most part, I would go to meetings and be able to hear the message. I wasn't dick distracted, and I was able to like really get the message of what this program has to offer, which I am very grateful for, to learn in early sobriety. So, but
got a good question regarding that from Paul Bowman.
Okay.
What do you think of gay AA? In Boston, it kind of felt very who's who in less recovery. So,
well, I think in anything, and this may be a Pollyanna answer, but I think you make it what you want it to be. I know when I first started to go into the gay rooms, I felt like a straight guy going to a gay meeting, or like the black sheep. Because of my own inner homophobia, like I was talking about. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't allow myself to feel comfortable, but now I can go to most any group and be okay with myself, you know, because of who I've learned who Miles is. And yeah, so, but I think, you know, just like any type of meeting, if you're not feeling this one, hey, there's another one right around the corner. That's what's so great about the world that we live in right now, you know, especially in the bigger cities. You know, there's all you can get, you know, messed up on anything and get drunk on anything, but you can also get sober literally everywhere. You know, a lot of the places that I scored drugs and drank, right around the corner was a meeting that I now go to today, you know.
That's
which
very good
what
point.
yeah, crazy.
I guess so. The answer to my question was you never felt unsafe, right? So you never felt the need to be at like an LGBTQ track. No, because people are ignorant. People are,
Yeah.
you know, assholes that, you know.
I mean, I think that my higher power that I've always had, you know, is always looked at for me. When I did go to that rehab in Long Beach, I know that there was one guy that heard that I was coming, because again, it was a lot of guys, you know, coming from Betty Ford to this rehab.
Right.
So I think they heard that I was coming, and this one guy, I had heard that he left the house as soon as I arrived because of, you know, maybe I was gay. He had heard I was gay. And to him, you know, I still have never met the guy in my life, but, you know, I say his loss, you know,
His loss.
but,
yeah,
you know, but I know that the program director would never put me in a situation where, like, you know, any kind of harm would come to me or anything like that. So, you know, if you've got to be really open and willing, I think in program, you know, like, just to talk to another human being about your, you know, your insecurities, your resentments, you know, the things that you've done wrong in the past, you've got to be able to have trust. And so I think going forward, you know, in life, it's a good lesson to learn. Like, you know, you can kind of, you know, keep your guards up around people you don't know, but I like to think like most people are good people still, you know.
Absolutely.
Unless you show me different, unless you show me your true colors, then, you know, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. But I think Richie had asked something about James. I don't know if I should use his last name, but James D.
Yeah, he keeps commenting the last
Okay.
name,
So Richie and James are really good friends from Long Beach, I believe. Now James was a sponsor of mine in Long Beach, and great, you know, Boston guy, great cook, and you know, the kind of once again another big brother father figure that, you know, I never had before, because you know, it was nice to be around such a, you know, not a hard shell, but you Boston and Jersey boys, and that it can be a very tough, you know,
We're rough
sometimes.
crowd. Yeah, we're rough
soft
crowd.
is pudding on the inside.
But they're the biggest teddy bears, you know.
You got the tattoos and the, you know, the accent, but they're like babies.
We're big
Keep talking.
We're big babies that like to fight.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But James is another, you know, blessing in my life. Because of him, I was able to walk through one of the hardest things I ever had to walk through in my life, not just sobriety, but in my life. He was there for me. But, you know, James has now moved to Florida. You know, he's got, you know, great 2 kids, and, you know, I miss him. Like, I miss seeing Richie around. And, but, you know, it's again, one of those things that if I had not gotten sober when I did and stayed, I would not have been able to meet these amazing people that have made such a major impact on my life today. And the lessons and things that they've taught me, I've now carried on to other people. You know, I know that I think Richie had asked about my sponsor, Uriel. So I mentioned Uriel a little bit earlier before, and, you know, again, this is a man that, you know, I met in Long Beach, and, you know, he was just a friend. And when I got sober, after I had that last relapse, I decided, well, this is a man that I really want what he has, you know? And so Uriel was a guy that was gave the best hugs, just full of love, you know? And, you know, after working an 8 or 9 hour day, he still had time to meet with me to do my step work. You know, every time I called him, he would pick up the phone. You know, he was, again, like that first, you know, big brother that I had ever had, that cared, you know, wanted the best for me, support all the way. And, you know, the step work that we did together was my first introduction to, you know, really this program. And So for him to take the time and to share with me his stories and his, experience with the steps, and then guiding me through it, was obviously life changing. And I think, I think we always remember our first, on different situations, but especially in this, I cannot, ever repay him for, him really truly showing me how this program works, because the things he's taught me, I've carried on to all of my sponsees I've had ever since, Um, but I left Long Beach after about 3.5 years and moved back up to LA. And I was still going down to my home group at the time, which was in Long Beach every Saturday night, called Saturday Night Live. And it was at a church there in Long Beach. And one night I went down there, and, I was taught to, if you get there early, greet people at the door and stuff. So, it turns out it was me and Uriel standing at the gate to the church, and we were greeting people, and it's about 5 minutes before the meeting. And I see a car pull up, and I see some friends of mine I haven't seen in a while. So they're about 6 feet away, and I walk over to go say hi to them. And within that split moment, I hear all these loud noises. And I turn around, and it was like the world has just gone to slow motion. And what I'm seeing is a man standing over another man that's laying on the ground, and all I can see is the man's legs on the ground. And as I start walking over, I recognize those legs. I recognize those jeans. Those are Uriel's jeans. And I'm not comprehending what I'm seeing. And as I get closer, the man standing above him is shooting him and shooting him. And then he runs away. And what was going on that night is that a former sobriety brother of mine, someone that had sponsored both Uriel and myself, had come to the meeting that night to kill himself. Obviously, this man had gone and relapsed. We found out later that this man had mental outside issues. But for whatever reason, at the last minute, he turned the gun on my sponsor. 5 minutes before a meeting at my home group, in front of my eyes, my sponsor is murdered. And I should have been standing right next to him. And that night, this is before social media really. And, while we were held at the church that night, and, the investigation was going on, by the time I left that church, word had spread all the way back up to LA. And I walked out into a parking lot full of people, and it felt like all of AA in the world was there. And I had never felt so much love and support around me. And James was there that night. And, I met Uriel's younger brother for the first time that night. And, it's been one of the hardest things, I guess, that I've ever had to go through. But the following week, we went back for the meeting. And I was nominated to be secretary for that meeting. So at not even 4 years sober yet, I took over the secretary duties. And for the next 6 months, I went back to that same spot and carried on the message that man taught me. Wow. To show up no matter what, to be an example and to be there for other people. And I had to walk through the same spot where he passed away for 6 months and then on. I want to tell you that when I went back to take my 10-year cake, that room was standing room only. There were only a few people that I knew, that I recognized, that would have known what had happened, 8 years prior. But to know that room and the love and the support was still carrying on, just, made my heart just burst, because all that stuff that we had done 8 years prior was still being carried on, so it's one of those things where, like, no matter small or big things that we do in sobriety, you never know what kind of a big effect, can happen. Because of that meeting continuing on, so many more people got sober, I do want to say
alive with it,
right. I want to preface this really fast that, these are safe spaces to share in. This was a freak accident that I don't know of any other incident that would ever happen, we do say that we do share it a general way from the podium, but please don't let this scare you off from confiding into a sponsor, to lending support and love to our fellow alcoholics and addicts. Yes, I miss him dearly, and I walk every day in his honor, but this is how my story was supposed to be. I'm so grateful that for 3.5 years I got to know that man. So in a way, this is, I have no regrets in that sense because of what I've gained from it. I've learned that no matter even the worst situation, you can always pull out something positive from it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, that I didn't want to bring it down, but that's one of the big things about my at least sober life that has carried me through the years that I've been hanging on by my fingernails, or I haven't been as involved. And I know one of the questions that you guys asked at the beginning is like, what am I doing today to stay involved in the sober community and stuff? And I work in an industry right now that is not sober related, but I have dabbled in working in rehabs and being able what I know, bring that to newcomers. And I come from like, an acting background and also a financial background. So, teaching someone how to like balance their checkbook, is mind blowing sometimes to a newcomer, so, I'm not actively working in that field, but I am working that in my personal life. Today, I have 5 sponsees that, I have 2 females and 3 guys that like, keep me on my toes, and I'm reworking the steps for the second time ever. And I used to have some shame in that. And, at almost having 18 years of sobriety, I've never gone through the steps the second time, but I just walked through my 4th step the other day with my sponsor. And, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And ironically, that's something that Uriel always told me. And I always wanted to know the specifics. Like, what do you mean? I want to know exactly how this plays out. But, I'm glad I didn't have to drink during those years. But, there's a reason why I'm going through the steps now again, so.
Did it trigger you at all to want to use or drink when that was happening?
When he passed away?
Yeah, when he passed, because that's traumatic for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, ironic is not the right word, but I immediately went into what would Uriel do?
Right.
What are the tools that he taught me? And again, it was to show up, be there for other people, to get outside of yourself, but then to allow other people to be there for you. Like that night, I went and stayed at James's house, and I just remember, how grateful it was to have someone be there for me. And, because again, like you can't even explain what it's like to be in that environment unless you are in it. I think most of us have lost, loved ones in a certain capacity, grandparents, friends, but that's something that was very traumatic. And I did go to therapy afterwards and was able to process a lot of that stuff. So I am, an advocate of, if you need outside help, get it, but again, it's one of those things where I can look anyone in the eye and say, you can stay sober no matter what you go through because of what I went through.
Absolutely.
We actually have a couple comments. So Olga and Casilla said, I know it's tough coming out. I still haven't told most of my family because I know I would be disowned. So Olga, we're here to support you. We can reach out to us. We can connect you with Miles or someone who's been through that to kind of offer you support. Let's see. Paul Bowman said to Olga, we are here to support you. So that's great, connecting you different resources in the community. That's what Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions is all about. That if you're looking for, you need extra support in something like that, just please reach out and we'll connect you with someone. Kim said, big hugs, Miles. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Miles, for keeping hope alive. Olga said that. And then Tara said, Miles, I'm so sorry about your friend's passing. He sees you doing his work. God works through people. You're a gift to others, which is absolutely true. Linda Powell said, so powerful. God bless and thank you for sharing. And then someone from the Greater Waltham, which I think is Kim, said people work the steps numerous times because things evolve, which is so true.
Yeah. everything, that we say here is always a suggestion, but there's always probably some good meaning behind it. I was suggested many times, to do the step work again, sooner, but, believe it or not, we can still be stubborn. We can still hang on to some character defects. And, like I said, I'm very lucky that I didn't have to go and experience what it's like to drink and use again. At least not today, it's we all have our own story. We all have our own journeys to go down. I just would like to think that, we have this one life as far as I know, and I want to make the most of it. I didn't seek out to like be some, example of the LGBT community, or to be someone that gets to talk, internationally, or, inspire, even sober people. To me, it's just as simple as I'm doing this honestly for me.
Right.
Because I want to have a good life, and I want to be able to, live life to the fullest, because there's so many things that I still want to be able to try and at least have a chance to do. But there's like like I said, there's been character defects of fear, like still holds me back sometimes. But what I would say to Olga, to kind of bring back to that question, obviously you got to know your surroundings and you want to stay safe, but if you don't give yourself to take the chance, you never know what the outcome could magically be,
Right.
I don't want to live in fear my whole life. So when I have an opportunity and I know that it's going to be somewhat safe, like telling my parents, that could have gone completely wrong. I could have been disowned, but if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be as comfortable with being Miles that I am today. So, if I can inspire that, I say go for it, and if you need the support, it's as simple as just saying, hi, I need support,
And bringing that to other people. I think that's great what you said, that you didn't have this in mind to be this member of the LGBTQ community that's talking, like right now, you're talking nationally, right?
Yeah.
You're talking that, well, who knows who's watching? People around the world could be watching.
Exactly.
If
That's
you're
right. We had a guest from Britain a couple weeks ago, right?
Did we?
Yeah.
Someone was on the show, was in Britain?
Yeah, you did. Or United Kingdom.
Jessica has slept since.
Comments.
It's okay. She slept since then.
Yeah. One of the comments. We didn't have someone who was actually in Britain.
Yes, we did. You said, look, they're chiming in from the UK.
Oh, it wasn't one of our guests. It was one of the comments.
A comment, yeah. You said people could be watching international.
Which one of our guests was in Britain when they were commenting?
Okay, so let's talk about this. So Richie's always claimed, I mean, Richie's kind of famous in Boston, but he told me when he came back from LA that he was legit famous in LA County. So can you verify that for us, Miles?
Well, he's famous for a couple things, but none of which are appropriate for Facebook Live.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's commenting right now too, saying, "Tell him to come to Boston for a visit." And then we got to go to then we get to go to Hawaii.
Let's do it.
That's what he just said.
Well, I'll come to Boston. He can propose, and then we'll honeymoon in Hawaii.
So tell us a little bit. So you're much more than just a person in recovery. You're much more than just a member of the LGBT.
I mean, I still think of myself as just Miles. I mean, not to be like Madonna or Cher, but like I'm just Miles. There's all these great things about me, and there's still some, ugly things about me, and negative things that I work on a daily basis. But it's like I don't want to be defined as one group, really, because I think maybe that's been my upbringing, not having that identity. But it's nice just to be comfortable in my own skin. I mean, I know I've repeated a lot of stuff, but it's stuff that has impacted my life that hopefully it will translate to someone else.
Well, what I was going to say is tell us about your acting career.
Well, it's on hold right now, but no, I mean, I still am very creative, and I'm in a place where even before the pandemic, I was ready to move on to something more creative. I've been doing something in the financial production world for about a decade. It's kept me in a lifestyle that I'm very happy with, but it was one of those things where I know that it was kind of like a Groundhog's Day, or even like I was resting on my laurels and being kind of lazy about, okay, I'm getting up, I'm doing the same thing, I'm really good at my job, but there's no drive there, there's no spark there, you know?
Right.
And even like changing companies, it was still like, oh, it's new people, but again, it's nothing that I'm being challenged at, you know? There were a couple opportunities where I was able to move up the ladder, but again, it was kind of like that temporary relief that we get also in program, you know, but morphing that into the my work world. So I know deep down inside I am a creative artist, you know, and I don't know what capacity that's going to look like in my future, but I do know that there is a role for every type of person,
Right.
you know, and I have allowed myself during this pandemic to explore different things, whether it's just researching something on a documentary on Netflix or actually going to the craft store and like creating art for the first time, or, you know, looking at a play or a musical differently, maybe getting more of a backstory, finding more about characters. It's one of those things where I'm glad I have this, you know, awakening to really look at more of like, what does Miles like and what do I really want to be challenged in the future, and not be afraid to do so. So you know, I mean, as far as, you know, acting and productions happening, it's still very slow, at least on the West Coast. So I have a little, you know, chance to, you know, kind of gather my tools and see if I actually, you know, want to go out there and audition again and do some stuff like that. But you know, it comes back to the first couple of things I learned in the program is to keep it simple and stay present. You know, right now I'm going to do the best that I can for today. You know, after this, you know, interaction on Facebook, I've got another commitment I have to go to, you know.
I'm
And then
just jealous it's only 4:30 there right now. And it's
well, hey, I'm a busy man, okay? But you know, I have, you know, a day set where like I'm accountable to people too, you know. Obviously we're in a new world where we have to be safe, but you know, it's a thing that for this addict alcoholic, I have to still have structure, you know. I still have to be accountable. So I pull up my calendar and I make sure I have certain things to do and that those things don't cross over with each other. So you know, it's all a learning lesson and no one does it perfectly. So you know, if you beat yourself up, stop it, you know, like learn from it and move on is the best that we can do for each other. So yeah.
Boom. Nailed it. Thank you so much for coming on our show, Miles. You did an amazing job.
The score is 15-14. Just need to tell you that we've been losing, but now it is 15-14. Celtics are winning.
It's okay. It's a long game. It's a long game.
Julie
Oh,
just
that's a good thing.
I know. So Julie just texted me and said, tell him I say thank you for keeping hope alive. So, which is if you can get through what you've been through, you know, by seeing something like that and not and just having the recovery community. I think they've done this in the pandemic as well. Is we've really stepped up when things go down. We've really stepped up to support one another.
And we need to continue to do that, because I don't know about you guys on the East Coast, but the meetings I've been going to lately on Zoom, the numbers have kind of dwindled a little bit. You know, I don't know. Some people are meeting in person, yes, but a lot of people just aren't going anymore. So what I would suggest, and I've said this since day one of this pandemic, we need to pick up our phones again and not just shoot a text to somebody, but do it old school and say, hey, Jessica, how was your day? Hey, Michael, what you got plans tonight? You want to come for a sleepover? You know, those simple things.
Mike, I love it. Please,
I love it.
The best ever. Show them the handcuffs.
This was great. This was great.
It's amazing.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. I mean, it's nice to meet new people and to be in a safe environment that, you know, hopefully it will help at least some person. And if it doesn't, this will really help me, because it has helped me redefine my place of where I'm at least today. You know, tomorrow's a whole new day, but today I know where I'm supposed to be.
You have helped people, you know, comments like, I don't know, I haven't came out. I'm sure that you have helped numerous people, and we think from Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions, we really thank you for, you know, sharing all of that, and because I know it can be painful, and it really was amazing. So, and it was real, and that's what we like, you know, the realness, and we can hear the rawness, and you absolutely give people hope.
Nice.
So,
Love it.
Michael,
So go Celtics, and please leave the world a better place than you found it. Good night.
yeah, good night. Go Celtics.